I am Eleanor, a woman who poured every fragment of her soul into raising Liam, the boy I claimed as my own from a welfare center when he was barely a shadow of life, abandoned in a dumpster with a heart that flickered like a dying ember. For 30 years, I surrendered everything, my marriage, my dreams, my very health, to carve out a future for him. I worked grueling shifts, my hands calloused from scrubbing floors and stitching together a life for us both. Also, Liam could stand taller than the circumstances that nearly buried him. But the day I returned home, broken by the loss of my job, the truth unraveled in a way I never foresaw. Liam, my son, alongside his wife Charlotte and her mother Beatrice, branded me a burden and cast me out of the very house I had built with my sweat and tears, a house I bought for them, its deed bearing their names, not mine. They had no inkling of the secret I carried, an inheritance of $8 million from my late employer, a fortune I had kept hidden until my pride demanded I rise. That moment, their words cut deeper than any knife. I stood in the doorway of the home I'd sacrificed for, my suitcase at my feet, as Liam's voice dripped with contempt. "You're useless now, Mother. What are you going to do? Just sit here and leech off us?" Charlotte's cold eyes mirrored his disdain, while Beatrice, ever the puppeteer, sneered, suggesting I crawl to a nursing home or grovel as a servant in some wealthy household to earn my keep. Each syllable was a betrayal, a reminder that to them I was no mother, just a machine to fund their lives. I had nursed Liam through illness, paid for his education, and forsaken my own happiness to ensure his. Yet here they stood, reducing my decades of devotion to nothing. I swallowed the ache, my heart a storm of grief and fury, and chose silence over surrender. The weight of their ingratitude pressed against my chest, but so did the secret I held. The fortune left to me by my employer, a woman who saw my worth when my own family did not. She had been my confidant, my mentor, and in her final act, she entrusted me with wealth beyond imagination. I could have revealed it then, watched their faces twist with envy, but I refused to let them taint that gift. Instead, I lifted my suitcase, my resolve hardening like steel. I would not beg for their love. I would stand tall, reclaim my dignity, and show them the cost of betraying the woman who gave them everything. If you're listening, thank you for joining me. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now let's walk through this together. The day I told Liam I'd lost my job, the air in our home, my home, bought with years of toil, turned venomous. I stood in the living room, my voice trembling as I explained that my employer, Catherine, had passed, leaving me without work. Before I could finish, Liam's face darkened, his eyes narrowing with a cruelty I'd never seen in the boy I'd raised. "So, what now, Mother?" he snapped, his voice cutting like a blade. "You're just going to sit here, useless, freeloading off us?" Charlotte, his wife, stood beside him, her lips curled in a sneer that mirrored his disdain. Beatrice, her mother, lounged on the sofa, her sharp gaze dissecting me as if I were a specimen under glass. "Perhaps a nursing home would suit you, Eleanor," she said, her tone dripping with false pity. "Or better yet, find some wealthy family in need of a live-in maid. You're good at that, aren't you? It's time you kept contributing." Their words landed like blows, each one heavier than the last. For 30 years, I had poured my life into Liam, nursing him through heart surgeries, working 3 jobs to pay his tuition, sacrificing my marriage to Henry when he demanded I choose between him and the frail boy I'd vowed to protect. I had bought this very house for Liam and Charlotte, its walls echoing with my silent sacrifices, yet they stood there, reducing me to a machine meant only to churn out money. I was no mother to them, just a means to an end. Pain was a living thing, clawing at my chest, but beneath it, something fiercer stirred, my pride, long buried, now rising like a phoenix from ashes. I could have told them then about the $8 million Catherine had left me, a fortune born of her trust in me, her gratitude for the years I'd been more than an employee, her confidant, her friend. But I held my tongue. Their scorn didn't deserve the truth. Instead, I straightened my spine, lifted my suitcase, and said, "I'm done. You'll never see me as anything but a burden, so I'll be one no longer." Their laughter followed me out the door, Charlotte's mocking chuckle, Beatrice's cold dismissal, but I carried my secret like armor, knowing it would be my salvation. I didn't look back. With the inheritance, I bought 2 villas in the city's most prestigious gated community, their soaring ceilings and sunlit gardens a testament to my worth. I wanted to scream to the world that I was more than their disdain, more than the useless woman they'd cast aside. But the world wasn't done testing me. The real estate showroom, as I toured the properties, Isabella, Beatrice's niece, all polished arrogance and designer heels, spotted me. Her voice rang out, sharp and venomous. "Eleanor? A housekeeper shopping for villas? Don't tell me you're here to play pretend with money you don't have." Crowd turned, their whispers a chorus of judgment, their eyes stripping me bare. Isabella's smirk was a blade, twisting with every word. "People like you don't belong here. Security, escort her out." I felt the old wounds reopen, the years of being unseen, unvalued. But I was no longer that woman. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and turned the screen toward Isabella. The room fell silent as the numbers glowed. $8 million in change, undeniable, unassailable. "Is this enough to belong?" I asked, my voice steady as stone. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Isabella's face drained of color, her confidence crumbling like dry leaves. The sales manager, flustered, apologized profusely, and when I insisted Sophie, the young assistant who'd shown me kindness, handle the sale, Isabella's humiliation was complete. She was fired that day, her slander exposed, her career in ruins. I walked away, the keys to my new life in hand, but the victory was bittersweet. Liam, Charlotte, Beatrice, Isabella, they had all shown me who they were. I would not let their betrayal define me. I was Eleanor, and I was just beginning to rise. The night before I faced Liam on the digital battlefield of social media, I teetered on the edge of surrender, my heart unraveling like a frayed tapestry. Alone in my hotel suite, the city's glittering skyline a mocking contrast to my inner darkness, I rummaged through an old suitcase, seeking something, anything, to anchor me. My fingers brushed against a folded piece of paper, brittle with age, tucked inside a forgotten pocket. It was a letter from Liam, written when he was 10, his childish scrawl thanking me for saving his life, for the nights I held his trembling hand through hospital monitors' relentless beeps. Tucked beside it was a drawing, 2 stick figures, a mother and son, standing beneath a radiant sun, their hands clasped in eternal promise. My breath caught, tears spilling over as memories flooded back. Liam's frail body, his lips tinged blue, his eyes clinging to me like I was his entire world. I had given everything to keep that world spinning. My marriage to Henry, my youth, my dreams, all sacrificed to ensure he'd live. The letter shook in my hands, each word a dagger twisting in my chest. Had I been too harsh? Was I wrong to sever ties with the boy I'd raised as my own? Doubt gnawed at me, whispering that perhaps Liam was still the child who saw me as his hero, not the man who'd branded me a burden. In the dim glow of the bedside lamp, I picked up my phone, my thumb hovering over his number. One call could bridge the chasm between us, could offer him a chance to explain, to repent. My heart ached for reconciliation, for the love we'd once shared. But before I could press the button, my phone buzzed, shattering the silence. It was Sophie, the young sales assistant who'd shown me kindness at the villa showroom. Her voice trembled through the speaker. "Eleanor, you need to see this. Liam posted a video online. He's saying you stole your fortune from your employer, calling you a fraud living in luxury. He's shared your hotel address, urging people to confront you." The words hit like a thunderclap. I opened the video, and there was Liam, tears streaming down his face, sitting in the house I'd bought him, weaving a tale of betrayal. "My mother abandoned me," he sobbed, "stole money to live like a queen while I struggle." The comments below were a venomous storm. "She's a disgrace. Find her and make her pay." Worst of all, he'd revealed my hotel's address, a reckless act that turned his lies into a tangible threat. As if on cue, a barrage of knocks thundered against my door, accompanied by angry shouts echoing through the hall. Eleanor! Come out, you coward. Face us. My pulse raced, fear coiling in my gut like a snake. I peered through the peephole, seeing a small crowd, strangers with phones raised, their faces twisted with righteous fury, fueled by Liam's deceit. I clutched the letter, its ink now smudged by my tears, but the warmth it once held turned to ash. This was no longer the boy who'd drawn a son for me. This was a man who'd weaponized my love to destroy me. I called hotel security, then the police, my hands trembling but my resolve hardening. As the shouts outside faded under the guard's intervention, I sat before my laptop, the letter discarded on the table, a relic of a bond that no longer existed. Liam's betrayal had stripped away my doubts, leaving only a blazing certainty. I opened the live stream app, my face lit by the screen's cold glow. "Tonight," I said, my voice steady as iron, "the world will know the truth about the son I saved and the lies he spun." The camera blinked to life, and with it, my fight began, not for Liam, but for the woman I'd forgotten to be myself. The live stream was my battlefield, the glowing screen my sword, and the truth my shield. As the camera blinked to life, I stared into its unyielding lens, my heart a furnace of resolve and rage. The world had heard Liam's lies, his tear-streaked videos painting me as a heartless fraud who'd stolen a fortune and abandoned her son. Now it was my turn to speak. "I am Eleanor," I began, my voice steady despite the tremor in my soul, "and tonight you'll hear the story Liam doesn't want you to know." Chat exploded with question marks, insults, and curiosity, but I pressed on, undeterred. I told them everything. How I found Liam at a welfare center, a frail infant discarded in a dumpster, his lips blue from a congenital heart defect, his tiny body clinging to life. I described the years I sacrificed, my marriage to Henry shattered when he demanded I send Liam back to the orphanage, my nights spent working multiple jobs, my dreams buried to pay for Liam's surgeries and education. "I gave him everything," I said, my voice cracking, "not because he was my blood, but because he was my choice." I held up documents to the camera, hospital bills, tuition receipts, the deed to the house I'd bought for Liam and Charlotte, every page a testament to my love. The chat slowed, the venomous comments giving way to stunned silence. Then I played the recording, a damning audio of Liam's voice, cold and calculating, urging me to become a live-in servant for some wealthy stranger to keep funding his life. "You're still in good shape, Mother," he'd sneered. "Work another 20 years. Retire when you're 80. The chat erupted. "Monster!" How could he? But I wasn't done. With a steady hand, I revealed the truth that would unravel his facade. "Liam is not my biological son," I said, the words heavy as stones. "I adopted him to save him from a fate no child deserves. He was abandoned, left to die in a dumpster. I chose to be his mother, and he chose to betray me." The reaction was seismic. Comments flooded in, calling Liam ungrateful, a leech. His live stream, running simultaneously, became a war zone of backlash. He appeared on his screen, pale and frantic, shouting, "She's lying! If I'm not her real son, why did she keep me? She's manipulating you all." His desperation only fueled the fire. I uploaded the adoption certificate, a government-issued record bearing my signature from 30 years ago, undeniable proof of my sacrifice. The chat exploded again. "She's telling the truth. He's done." Liam's followers dwindled as mine surged, thousands jumping to my stream, some apologizing for believing his lies, others offering support. But Liam doubled down, his voice shrill. "If she's so noble, why did she cut me off? She's rich now, living in mansions, while I'm nothing." His words were a final act of defiance, but they were too late. Within hours, the platform banned his channel, citing violations of their policies on defamation and harassment. His digital empire, built on crocodile tears and twisted truths, crumbled overnight. I sat back, the weight of the moment settling over me like a storm's aftermath. I had won, but the victory tasted bitter. I saw Liam's face in my mind, not the man who'd slandered me, but the boy who once clung to me in hospital rooms, whispering thanks. That boy was gone, replaced by someone who saw my love as a debt to be collected. The comments on my screen glowed with praise. "You're a hero, Eleanor." "He doesn't deserve you," but they couldn't erase the ache in my chest. I had reclaimed my truth, but at the cost of the son I'd fought for. As I ended the stream, I whispered to the empty room, "This is for me now." The fight wasn't over, but I was no longer fighting for Liam. I was fighting for Eleanor, the woman I'd forgotten to be. Courtroom was a crucible, its air thick with anticipation as I stepped inside, my heart pounding but my resolve unshaken. Through exposing Liam's lies on the live stream, I had dragged him to court for defamation and harassment, determined to reclaim my truth and the house I'd poured my life into. The room brimmed with spectators, reporters scribbling furiously, onlookers from Liam's now-defunct streaming channel, their eyes flickering between curiosity and judgment. Across the aisle, Liam sat, his gaze icy, flanked by a lawyer hired by Charlotte's family, a woman named Amelia, once my closest friend. Her presence was a fresh wound. We'd shared confidences, laughter, tears, yet here she stood, ready to tear me apart for those who'd already betrayed me. Amelia rose, her voice sharp as a blade, slicing through the room's hush. "Eleanor manipulated Liam from childhood," she declared, exploiting his vulnerability to craft a narrative of martyrdom. Her so-called inheritance, $8 million, likely stems from illicit dealings with her employer. Gasps rippled through the crowd, their stares boring into me like needles. My chest tightened, the accusation a vile echo of Liam's slander, but I was ready. I presented my old journal, its pages worn from years of sleepless nights, each entry a chronicle of my toil, triple shifts, handmade crafts sold for pennies to cover Liam's hospital bills. I offered a notarized statement from my late employer's attorney, affirming the inheritance's legitimacy, earned through loyalty, not deceit. The crowd's murmurs softened, but Amelia's smirk remained, her eyes daring me to falter. Then came the crescendo. Liam leapt to his feet, his face contorted with fury. "She's not my mother," he shouted, voice echoing off the walls. "She's a fraud who kept me to milk everyone's pity." The room froze, stunned by his audacity. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from a rage so deep it threatened to consume me. I turned to the judge, my voice steady. "Your Honor, may I present evidence?" With permission granted, I played a video from the welfare center, 30 years old but vivid as yesterday. Me, younger, weary, cradling a near-lifeless Liam, signing adoption papers as his tiny chest heaved. His blue lips, his fragile hand in mine, it was the moment I chose him over everything. The judge's face softened. The crowd erupted in boos, their anger now aimed at Liam. "How dare you?" someone yelled. "She saved you." The tide had turned. The judge's gavel fell, declaring Liam guilty of defamation and harassment. He was ordered to pay damages and legal fees, but the true victory was the house, my house, reclaimed as a symbol of my sacrifices. As I left the courtroom, Liam's eyes met mine, a storm of hatred and desperation. "You'll regret this," he hissed, his voice low, venomous. I paused, meeting his gaze with a calm that felt like armor. "The only regret, Liam," I said, "is yours." I walked away, the weight of 30 years lifting with each step. Amelia avoided my eyes, her betrayal exposed in the courtroom's harsh light. The reporters swarmed, but I had no words left for them. I had won not just the case, but the right to be Eleanor, unbound by the son who'd forsaken me. Months after the courtroom victory, I sought solace in a luxurious piano showroom, its polished floors and gleaming instruments a sanctuary from the scars Liam had left. I sat at a grand piano, my fingers tracing the keys, ready to lose myself in Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. The notes were my refuge, a gift from my late employer who'd taught me music as an act of sisterhood. But peace shattered when Beatrice stormed in, her clique of socialites trailing like a flock of vultures. Her voice cut through the air, sharp and venomous. "Eleanor? A filthy housekeeper touching a piano worth thousands? Have you no shame?" Her friends snickered, their eyes raking over me with disdain. "Look at her, playing at being refined," one sneered. "Probably carrying germs from years of scrubbing floors." The words stung, reigniting the humiliation I'd endured from her, Charlotte, and Liam. The showroom's patrons turned, their whispers a growing chorus of judgment. But I was no longer the woman who cowered. I let my fingers dance across the keys, Moonlight Sonata unfurling in waves of haunting beauty. The notes soared, each one a defiance of their scorn, weaving a spell that silenced the room. The sales associate clapped, eyes wide with awe. "That was breathtaking, ma'am," he said. Even the onlookers, once skeptical, applauded softly, their faces softening with admiration. Beatrice's smirk faltered, her confidence cracking like thin ice. She stepped closer, her voice a hiss. "You think a few notes make you someone? That money you flaunt, it's stolen, isn't it? No housekeeper gets millions without dirty tricks." The accusation was a desperate jab, but I was ready. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and turned the screen toward her. $8 million glowing like a beacon of truth. "I plan to leave it all to Liam and Charlotte," I said, my voice calm but cutting. "But you, Beatrice, you called me a burden, pushed me out of my own home. You destroyed that future yourselves." Crowd gasped, their murmurs turning to accusations against her. "Is that true?" one woman demanded. "You threw her out after all she did?" Beatrice's face flushed crimson, her composure crumbling. Her friends shifted uncomfortably, their laughter replaced by silence. "You're lying," she sputtered, but her voice lacked conviction. She turned and fled, the door slamming behind her, her shame a palpable echo in the air. I returned to the piano, playing the final notes, each one a declaration of my freedom. Crowds' applause swelled, not just for my music but for the woman I'd become, Eleanor, no longer defined by their cruelty but by my own unyielding spirit. Liam faded from my life like a shadow swallowed by the dawn. Word reached me through whispers in the city. He had fled to a distant land, his once charming facade now a tattered mask. The last I heard, he was a broken figure, scavenging scraps on street corners, his eyes hollow, his laughter replaced by manic sobs. Charlotte, his wife, severed their bond with the cold precision of a lawyer's pen, her divorce papers a final rejection of the man who'd betrayed us both. Beatrice and Isabella, once queens of their social circle, found their reputations in ruins, their names synonymous with cruelty and envy. The world had seen their true faces, and it turned away. I sold the 2 villas, those grand monuments to my defiance, during a housing market upswing, pocketing a profit that felt like a quiet nod from fate. With that chapter closed, I left the city's clamor behind and settled in a lakeside town, where the air was soft with the scent of wisteria and the mornings glowed with gentle light. My new home was modest but mine, a cottage with windows that drank in the sunrise, a garden where roses bloomed under my care, and a corner where my easel stood, waiting for lazy afternoons of painting. Kitchen hummed with the aroma of dark roast coffee, and music, Beethoven, Chopin, my old friend Moonlight Sonata, filled the silence. For the first time, no one called me mother to demand something. No one accused me of being cold, of not doing enough. I belonged to myself, and in that belonging I found peace. Looking back, I don't regret adopting Liam. Those years of sacrifice, nights spent stitching together a future for a boy who wasn't my blood, were not a mistake. They shaped me, taught me the depths of love and the limits of endurance. But they also carved out lessons, hard-won truths that I carry like lanterns to light my path and, I hope, yours. Here are the 5 lessons life has etched into my soul. 1. Kindness must be balanced with self-respect. I gave Liam everything, my youth, my marriage, my dreams, believing love demanded sacrifice without question. But I learned that kindness, unchecked, can become a chain. Offering your heart doesn't mean letting others trample it. Love others, but never at the cost of your own dignity. 2. Betrayal reveals truth, not weakness. When Liam, Charlotte, and Beatrice cast me out, I felt like a failure, as if my love had been for nothing. But their betrayal wasn't my flaw, it was theirs. It unveiled their character and freed me to see my own worth. When someone hurts you, let their actions reflect their emptiness, not yours. 3. Your value isn't defined by others' perceptions. For years, I let Liam's family label me a housekeeper, a burden, a nobody. But in that piano showroom, as my fingers wove Moonlight Sonata, I realized my value wasn't tied to their scorn or even their approval. Your worth lies in your actions, your heart, and the life you choose to build. For truth is your greatest weapon. When Liam's lies painted me as a villain, I could have stayed silent, let the world believe his story. But I chose to speak, to show hospital bills, adoption papers, the audio of his cruelty. Truth didn't just clear my name, it reclaimed my power. Never fear to stand in your truth, no matter how loud the lies. 5. Freedom comes from letting go. Cutting ties with Liam was the hardest choice I ever made. The boy who drew me sons was gone, replaced by a man who saw me as a bank. Letting go wasn't abandoning him, it was saving myself. Sometimes freedom means releasing those who hurt you, even if you once loved them. These lessons, born from pain and triumph, are my gift to you. I stand now as Eleanor, not the forgotten mother, not the scorned housekeeper, but a woman who learned to live for herself. My cottage by the lake is no mansion, but it's a home where I breathe freely, where the sunlight feels like forgiveness and the music feels like hope. Life, I've learned, doesn't end with betrayal. It begins anew when you choose yourself. If this story has touched you, if it stirred something in your heart or reminded you of your own strength, I ask you to share it. Like this tale, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to this channel for more stories of resilience and truth. Your support keeps these narratives alive, inspiring others to find their own light in the darkness. Together, let's spread the message that no one's worth is defined by those who fail to see it. I close my eyes sometimes, picturing Liam as he was, a fragile boy, his hand in mine, trusting me to carry him through. I don't hate him even now. I pity the man he became, lost to his own choices, a ghost of the boy I saved. But I no longer carry his weight. My garden blooms, my canvas holds my dreams, and my heart beats for me. I am Eleanor, and for the first time, that is enough.